Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Crypto Vatsik. Thanks for joining. If you like this content, please subscribe to the channel and give me a like. If you want more frequent updates, you can always follow me on Twitter at CryptoVatsik. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice. These are my opinions only. Okay, so just getting right into it, I thought I'd just do some quick analysis and go through a few different coins in the short term, just on the lower time frames, and take a look at what we're seeing, even though it's pretty similar across the board. But we can dive in a little bit further on a few of them. So basically, this one's Polkadot first off. Obviously a very clear downtrend. We've broken out a bunch of levels here that were previously support and are now resistance. So from back here on July, I think, 2021, we had this low taken out. You could see it came back up, kind of tested around it, just above it temporarily, and gave us this range here until we broke down further. And we broke this previous level from over here that is getting pretty far back into time, but it's all we can use at this point. So this was around just over $8, and now has broken obviously below that. So again, tapped it a couple times as resistance here, and just following this overall downtrend. So in a general sense, this is some serious resistance above us, but we're just getting to this point of my next level down here, which is just right around $6.40 area, just about 6.30 here, where I do think we'll see a new low. And one of the things I'll be looking for is if we can get a potential bullish divergence. So what I would like to see is if we can make a new low on price and a higher low on RSI. So just right here, if we can make a new low on price here and have a nice bounce, we'd basically have a low made back here in May, and then a nice evenly spaced out 3 lows. And we've seen this before. Back here we saw 3 nice kind of evenly spaced lows, and RSI not really dipping further. I think on a higher time frame we got a divergence, but obviously it was a significant macro bottom. But back here, a little bit less volatility, but still I'd be looking maybe for a short term play here, where RSI just taps this support trend line here, and just basically I'd be targeting somewhere up here. This next resistance I would probably be targeting, or hopefully a break out of this diagonal, and then depending on what it does, then just taking it slowly. But I think that's in play. It's possible, but RSI has this resistance as well to deal with. So it's kind of my thoughts right now. Of course, we're seeing declining volume, so not too exciting. I like to see a bit more volatility when I go for divergences. But yeah, basically that lower level from way back here, basically, yeah, I mean some reaction, and that's kind of the only thing that we can look to next. So that's Polkadot. Rune, yeah, so same sort of deal. We've got this low, nicely reacted back here, and then a full retrace, broke below it here, and as significant resistance, came back down and tapped to $1.58 area as support, and it's held it so far. Could argue potential ascending wedge forming here, but I don't love ascending wedges right off the bottom. I mean, it is a bullish pattern, ascending wedge usually, typically bullish pattern, but I mean, just given the weakness in the market and the low volatility and the low volume, and just coming right off of a low like this, I don't love it, but would play it if we saw something like this, and then it started consolidating, getting real tight on price. At that point, yeah, I think it would be worth taking along and having a type stop loss for a shoot up to resistance here. So I'm just zooming out on the higher time frame here. Basically, you got to find these, zooming in a bit, sorry. So on the daily, taking out that first resistance level, and then basically just back here, which it's reacted to this low that was made way back in January 2021, and hit it as support here. So below that, I'd be looking at about $1.15. So getting tighter on these prices, but that's basically it for Rune. Just would like to see how this wedge ends up playing out, but again, resistance above. So next one we've got, I wanted to cover sand. So similar deal. We did have a trend here that was up, but it's broken since then on the daily and back tested it as resistance. Broke down here in this range below resistance, and I think we can see that from back here, this candle. So we made a high and then we made our low right around $1.50, and then that was basically the last correction and bottom before we got the clear upside later on. So below that, below this level, I've mapped out, we tapped it here once as support, and it broke below it temporarily, regained it as support, and wicked back down, tested it few times actually again. So if you're looking for a short-term long, you could be targeting this level around $1 to go long for short term, back up to this resistance area, or back up to this diagonal at least as a short term target. Zooming out here, kind of the same deal. Yeah, this previous significant high here was tested a couple times here. So once back in July 19th, broke through it temporarily, back below it, resistance again until it finally smashed through it. So and that's right around, what's that at, about 83, 84 cents kind of area. So that's what I would be looking for. This is definitely, definitely not a strong price action right now. So wouldn't be getting too excited to jump into anything. I'd probably wait until it heads back down to this low at around $1 first. Serum. Serum was interesting. Serum had this kind of Adam and Eve structure forming, but again, this neckline's definitely still intact. It hasn't broken it, so there's usually the Adam, the V, and then the U is the Adam and the Eve structure, but there's always a neckline where it began, right? So that this neckline is somewhere around this dollar area, just above $1 area where it originally broke down and hasn't been able to break above since. So you might be able to zoom in and take a look at the current structure. SRM actually has broken above the 100 and 200 EMAs here, so that's a difference. It's different than a lot of other altcoins right now. So a little bit of strength, but zooming in again, I could actually be going for a little bit of a long here, potentially on a break of this diagonal. Continue up on the shorter time frame of the EMAs here, and then target up next resistance. Not looking too shabby in the short term, but still it's struggling overall against this resistance right now. So would have to wait and see for some confirmation personally. Volume's dying out after this move, so we had some nice volume after a sweep of the low, and since has just come right back down again. So nothing too different. I'll go back to the daily here. Yeah, really just getting down to these levels. I mean, it's total break in market structure in any kind of bullish structure, right back down to these lows that it had way back in 2020. So not too much more to go into on Serum. Solana, yeah, Solana. So I had a couple buy zones mapped out on Solana here. Essentially, my first buy zone's been hit. It was right around just around $40, all the way down to 33, and actually broke below it and came very, very close to my second buy zone, starting at $26, and hit significant support for the time being, and back down again. So very similar structure. Resistance clear trend to the downside, resistance above that we've taken out. Well, previous support that's been taken out is now resistance. So of course, this low would be ideally Again, support. So maybe looking at something like this where I've talked about in previous videos where we might get a double bottom and then a sharp reaction here where we could have a macro bottom of some sort, where we've found you know, a macro bottom for the short term, but would need to see that significant reaction in price and some serious buyback and test these resistances in the coming weeks. So that's kind of it right now. Below this level, if we had broken it, it'll enter my second buy zone. Yeah, between I think about $26 down to 22 area, and then just below that, this area of support that we've tested multiple times back here in May 2021. So lots of interest in that area, and obviously after that, these are my accumulation. To clarify, these are my accumulation zones. These are not going short-term long. Excuse me. These are not short-term long scenarios or positions. These will be longer-term positions that I'm accumulating for the next few years. So that's kind of it for Solana. Like I said, just take it day by day. I have to reevaluate once we get down to these levels. I do think these lows, I do expect my secondary buy zone to be tapped, at least tapped. And then at that point, maybe I withhold DCAing in and wait and see if we hold that level. And if not, we'll have to reevaluate lower. But yeah, get into an interesting area. These things take time. We could start to see this start to U out and really, I've showed a chart previously where I think a lot of altcoins will have this period of accumulation until we get our next impulse up. So just being patient and being disciplined is going to be key. So next up, I think I have one more to cover, a couple more. So Rose, same sort of deal. We had this level here where I've marked it basically where we broke out of this resistance here. So we tapped it here as resistance and then eventually broke above it and then it acted as support. So that's a key level in my opinion. You can see it even reacted. So if you just go along here, what is this, around 8 cents, just over 8 cents here, reacted as well. So that level has been invalidated, and we're now currently testing this level around 5 cents, which back here it bounced a couple times at least on, and should be theoretically our level of support at this point, hovering quite closely to it right now. So not certain it'll hold, but just zooming in and on the 4 hour, this clear diagonal down as well would be resistance, kind of lines up right with these moving averages. So no clear indication that there's going to be a bottom formed just yet, but would like to see maybe another sweep of this low, perhaps another sweep of this low, and then something like that, or potentially we can make one more lower low and maybe check divergence on RSI. Probably have to zoom out a little bit. RSI climbing up, but low, lower low. We need another low to make a confirmed divergence, but yeah, that's kind of it right now at this point. Again, volume dying out, no real reason to jump long, but I'd be targeting this resistance level up here around I guess just under 90 cents area if you were to go long. But there's this guy here as well that would likely have some interaction, so lots to deal with before completely reversing, in my opinion. I had one more here, Matic, I think. Matic, some nice volume, making a diagonal here. Got this resistance block here from this range, previous range that broke down on. Yeah, volume's picking up a little bit, but ever since then it's dying. So we'd like to see this diagonal hold and start to test this resistance around 75 cents area. So it's kind of what I'd be looking for. This is still intact here, this support level that dates back to 2021. So that's kind of simple, but that's my thoughts I guess, in general for now, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for joining.